Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Formula Online Racing, brought to you in association with MIXT Energy. This is round 12 of the PS4 F1 Championship, coming to you from the Hungarian. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix. Should be a fascinating race tonight, as we see if Josh, Thomas and Westy can keep up the fantastic form they have done since joining the league. With Thomas especially winning the last two races after coming from towards the back of the grid. Can he become the first driver to win 3 races this season? Westy and Paulie Orange are also looking for that. Will Josh get his second win of the season, or will we see someone else come through the field? Maybe some of the new drivers. I am Luke Etheridge and I will be bringing you the action tonight. Unfortunately, George can't make it. Hopefully everything will be fine with him. But I'm sure we'll have an exciting race this evening. If you're not familiar with the layout here at FOR, it is the full qualifying session, 18 minutes, 15 minutes, then the top 10 in the final 12 minutes before a 50% distance, 35 lap race around this Hungarian Grand Prix circuit just outside of Budapest, first used in Formula 1 in 1986, 4.381 kilometres. So about 2 3/4 miles. Not much has changed since it was introduced into Formula 1 over 30 years ago, with the main differences being a much tighter first corner and a different final sector, all done to improve overtaking. A lot of Formula 1 drivers have described this circuit as Monaco without the barriers. It is one of the trickiest circuits to overtake in the real world. So qualifying is all important, and one of the drivers who knows how important qualifying can be around tight circuits after getting pole at the Monaco Grand Prix is José Heinze. So we'll follow him round now on this lap, heading through turn 1 now. DRS wide open on the run down to turn 2. Expect to see a lot of overtaking manoeuvres around this corner in the race. If not, you can get it done on the inside to turn 3, then you head up to hill towards the second sector where Felipe Massa had his horrific accident 11 years ago. This middle sector very tight and twisty. Not much overtaking here. It's all about keeping it nice and smooth to manage the tyres and keep them in good condition. If you watch the Formula 2, you will have seen just how tricky this middle sector can be for all the drivers, but F1 cars having much more grip and downforce, of course. Now heading down through turn 11, coming towards the final sector of the lap in the race. This is all about keeping it nice and clean, as Westy has retired from the session. He has gone off, by the looks of things, out of turn 4. I'll keep on with José Heinze to see how he finishes his lap, but it's been a nightmare for Westy in the Williams. Jos getting all crossed up at the exit of that sector, but he heads towards the finish with a 1 minute 17.1, instantly beaten by Josh with a 1:15.9. Following Paulie Orange now, as Westy's car has actually just disappeared. I can only imagine he's dropped it on that curve and speared him across the track, but he's going to have a big job to do. Let's not forget, Westy, since joining the league in Canada, has had a podium in every race. 5 podiums so far, and that has currently put him in second place in this championship, behind the man you're seeing on screen at the moment, Paulie Orange, the Haas driver, on 107 points at the moment. Westy 98, Borussia a further 9 points back, Groftas on 85 points, and Josh sneaking into the top 5 last time around. He's now on 74 points. It's extremely close, as you can see, in the Drivers' Championship, and it is just as close in the Constructors as well. Haas having a 2-point lead over Red Bull, who themselves are only 6 points ahead of McLaren, and ahead of Renault, I should say. At the end of this evening, even McLaren in 4th, 25 points behind, could find themselves top of the Constructors' Championship. As Paulie Orange, he comes across the line in second place with a 1:16.0. Mentioned we had a few new drivers, one of them at the moment, Ferhan in the Toro Rosso. He's gone third, showing some good pace, and I have seen himself, Dynastics, who's in the pits in the Red Bull, and Pedro, who has joined in the Renault. I have seen these 3 drivers before. They are quick. Might make things interesting for Josh, Westy and Thomas, and a few of the other quick guys as well. So should expect lots of action towards the front of the field. This qualifying session, of course, not about who is fastest. It is all about just getting through to the final part of qualifying. But the next part, in this case, 15 drivers to go through, 5 will be eliminated, and Thomas, with a great lap first time around, he's trying to ensure that he's not going to be the one to be eliminated with a 1:15.5. Do actually have another driver making his debut tonight. Irish Nude Potato in the Haas, jumping into the seat that has been vacated by Serious Mushroom. Let's see what he can do. He'll be hoping to drive Haas towards a Constructors' Championship victory, so we'll follow him around this circuit. Yellow flags, that will just be for slow moving cars. I think Droftas, I'm not sure if he's pulled out the way or gone off track there. I think from Michael Pacer's point of view, someone who is here supporting Droftas tonight, he'll be hoping he's just been pulling out of the way. And Droftas, we know his consistency. He hasn't really found things going his way. As these faster guys have come in, that consistency doesn't seem to be enough to get in 4th and 5th places anymore, but he does keep picking up the odd points. And with the Constructors' Championship being so close, and with his teammate Double O beginning to show some great form, that could be oh so important. Irish Nude Potato now coming around the final corner. Now you can see that pit entry is fairly tricky and deceptive. A lot of the drivers look as though they're heading towards that before deciding to stay out on circuit. And Irish Nude Potato slots into 8th position with a 1:17.034. We'll be reasonably happy with that, I feel, as a first effort. Racing point of Jonathan Cox. Racing points haven't had the easiest last couple of races. Jossi Heinzer indeed only scoring points at Monaco, not scored any points since then. And Jonathan Cox, his last point score was Austria. We know both these drivers have pace, they've just not been able to show it in the races, but Jonathan Cox certainly showing it in this qualifying session so far, moving into 5th position, 7 tenths off of Powell at the moment, but will offer the fastest time in this session. But that is a very good lap. It wouldn't surprise me if that is good enough to get him through to Q2. And a reminder that the fastest time that the top 10 set in Q2 will be the tyres that they have to use for the race. And it is also important around here strategy, with overtaking being very, very difficult indeed. Turn 1 and Turn 2 being the main overtaking points. This twisty middle sector, the dirty air of Formula 1 cars really doesn't offer any opportunity for you to close up to the car in front unless you make a mistake. The driver in front of you makes a mistake, I should say. So things definitely tough around this circuit. We are just over halfway, including tonight. There are 10 more races left. For a while we've got Belgium and Italy over the next couple of weeks, some of the classic Formula 1 circuits, before Singapore starts to flyaways that end the season. Russia has invalidated his lap. Let's see what Fight for D can do in the Ferrari. Got a point on his debut last time out. He'll be happy with that. Thomas, he's retired from the session. He's looking fairly comfortable, understandably, with that time. Doesn't want to waste any more time and tyres than he needs to. As Fight for D heads towards the finish line now in the Ferrari. Where can he put himself? 4th position with a 1:16.211. Both Ferrari drivers, I think, could have some very good results over the next few races. We've seen Lawrence can have some fairly good pace, and indeed he showed that in F2 on Tuesday. And Fight for D looking good so far around this Hungarian circuit and getting a point on debut. Maybe as the confidence comes, we will see a few podiums for both of those drivers. We're now halfway through this qualifying session, however, and it's Thomas, Josh, Paulie Orange, your top 3. No surprise to be Thomas, Josh or Paulie Orange being there, but it's a big surprise that Westy will be starting at the back of the grid after making a mistake in qualifying. Verhan, interestingly, just trying to get some more and more running. I wonder if he's had a chance to do much practice. I know this is something I've done myself in leagues, not on F1 but on GT Sport, when I've not really had much opportunities to practice. I've sort of used qualifying as a bit of a practice session. It's not really good for tyres, but maybe just getting used to this circuit. Yes, very late decision there to head into the pits. YBR returning tonight after a period of absence, obviously very busy working, keeping everything in the UK running smoothly. Oh, so important at this time, even more so than it usually is. So let's see what the Williams driver can do. Jon Palainen got a few points reserving in his place over the last few weeks. YBR comes across the line now. It's an improvement for him. 9th place for now, moving just ahead of Artiero, who I must say I was very impressed with last week, the Alfa Romeo driver. His best result of the season. His teammate didn't have the greatest of times last time out, and Denge did set the fastest lap. And normally in FOR, it doesn't matter where you finish. As long as you do finish, you will get the point for that fastest lap. But as Andenge DNF'd, he didn't get any points. But R12 finishing in 4th, his best result of the season. Mentioned on the podcast a few times, he's definitely a driver that has got pace. And hopefully he'll be able to show that more tonight. As Hibilu heads into the pits. Let's see what Pedro can do. He's actually invalidated his lap time. Fairhand looks pretty happy on that 116.2. I can't blame him. I think everyone from 00 down is going to have to try and go out again and improve, but they've all gone on the soft tyres, so they're all going to have to find big chunks of time to try and get through. So the top 6, I would say, are safe. I'm surprised Jonathan Cox is coming out again. Yellow flags, that's just for Alan pulling out of the way. Pedro needs to get a good lap in sooner rather than later. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're practically one shot qualifying. It's a lot of pressure to put on your shoulders this early on in a qualifying session. Smooth through the chicane, just taking enough curve to try and straight line it as much as possible, keeping all the momentum up through your car. This is what you need to do with this section. Nice and smooth on the throttle, on the brakes, on the steering. Just jabbing at the wheels, going to lose your momentum, cost you tyre life as well, and most importantly, lose you chunks and chunks of time, which you can't afford around such a short circuit. Only a couple shorter on the calendar, and that is Austria and Monaco, obviously. With a third of the session to go, Pedro's first effort in this qualifying session, good enough for 7th position right now. You see yellow flags, and I think that was just for Yossi Heinze getting out of the way. He's improved up to 9th place. He'll be fairly happy with that, needing a good performance tonight. Dynastics, he looks to be going again. I must say, when I've seen this driver, he does seem to have found a lot more confidence over the last few weeks. I've seen him in a few other leagues, and he's gone from finishing near the back to being a consistent podium points challenger, and perhaps even challenging for victories. And he's 14th at the moment. Droftas, Irish nude potato, not too far behind, who needs to find some big improvement in time, and he does. 8th position for the Red Bull driver at the moment. His teammate Borussia and Andenge, still the only 2 drivers yet to set a time. They don't want to leave it too late. Got yellow flags for Hibilu getting out of the way. Hibilu getting his first points in F2 last time out. Can he get his first points in F1 today? His best finish so far, a 13th in France. Has a pattern of finishing and not finishing. He's gone 15th DNF, 13th DNF, 17th DNF. So hopefully tonight he'll be able to carry on that one and get himself a finish, but it's going to be a tough job for him to get through to this session, as Irish Nude Potatoes improved ever so slightly. He's just found a few hundredths of a second to move himself ahead of Droftas. The Mercedes driver doesn't really tend to do that well in qualifying, and with 4 minutes to go, he's in the pits. He's going to have to find something to try and get through to this session. 00, his teammate, is in 9th, and then taking a lot of curve there, but the game seems to let you get away with that, as long as we're not seeing any virtual GP Spanish antics, as 00 retires from the session in 9th place. That could be a bit overconfident, but we'll have to wait and see. And Denge and Borussia can definitely find big improvements, maybe a few others as well. Only 4 drivers who set a time will be going out, obviously because of Westy's time, as Andenge has gone very deep there through turn 13. That's really compromised his line that he's had to take to get a good run. Heading towards 14 in the final corner. He moves up to 8th place, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was up near Fight for D and Paulie Orange if it wasn't for that. But still a good lap from the Alfa Romeo driver. Good enough for 8th position at the moment. We've got a yellow flag, which I believe is for Pedro. He has dropped it coming through turn 11. Has he got any damage? He's missing an end plate. He's not through. He's got to have time to get back to the pits and do another lap if it is necessary. He's half a second ahead of Droftas at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me if we do see some improvements for some of these guys further down the field. I feel like Yossi, Lomans, Alan, Artiero, Borussia, especially regulars in Q2 over the season. So Pedro may need to get out again. I'm not sure he'll be exactly safe. He has retired from the session, so we'll have to see. YBR on his out lap. He will, of course, get to start another lap. We've seen Artiero. He's running out of fuel, I think, so he's going to struggle. He really needs this lap to go well for him. On the bubble at the moment, 2 tenths ahead of Irish Dude Potato, who seems to have spent a lot of this session in and around 16th place. He is out on another lap. We're going to see most of these drivers from Andenge down, I think, head out now as Artiero's really pushing hard, getting all sorts of wrong, heading through turns 9 and 10. 3 tenths up on his best time at the moment. This Alfa Romeo running on fumes. Let's see what he can do. There's, he took a very wide line through turn 13. Artero needs to find a big improvement. This should be enough to safely put him through into Q2 for the Alfa Romeo. He got his best finish last time out and he moves up into 4th position. 6 tenths up on his previous best for him. That puts this man, YBR, on the bubble at the moment. Droftas just ahead. 17 needs to find 3 tenths of a second to get himself through to the next qualifying session, and with Borussia behind him, that might not be enough because Aylin and Lovens are out on laps as well. Yossi Heinze could be in a bit of trouble here in the pit lane at the moment. Quite a few drivers behind him still out on laps. Seen a few retirements just from the drivers that are further up the field. Hibilu 19th must have invalidated his lap, so he will not be able to improve. He will be starting from 19th position. There are no penalties for last time out in qualifying, so everyone is free to compete in as many sessions as possible as Droftas finds a big improvement in the Mercedes. He needed that. He puts him in 9th position. YBR has invalidated. He is out of this qualifying session. Got Lovens starting his lap now. Irish Dude Potato not too far away. Paulie Orange is still heading out on circuit. I'm surprised, to be honest. Maybe just going for a bit of pride here, trying to see if he can get any bit faster, try and pull a psychological blow over some of these other drivers. We'll have to wait and see, but he's definitely safe getting through. Checkered flag will be out shortly. As Borussia, he's not going to make it round. In fact, Borussia has left this way, way too late, and he is out of qualifying. That could save a few of these drivers. Checkered flag is out. Borussia, 18th position, is the best he's going to do. He's mistimed it. And that is a nightmare for him. Irish Dude Potato. What can he do as he heads towards the finish line? DRS open. He moves up into 10th. That puts Lawrence on the bubble. Aylin out at the moment. Lawrence is improving. Aylin isn't. So I think the Ferrari driver might be safe here. YBR is going to have another lap, I believe. But I think he might have got it wrong as Lawrence moves up to 4th. He finds a big improvement. YBR has invalidated. So it's only Aylin who can improve and knock Yossi Heinze out of this qualifying session. Only needs to find 39 thousandths of a second to get his McLaren into Q2. He's had a few podiums this year, but it's going to be difficult to do that. If he's starting down in 16th, the McLaren heads towards the line. He finds a big improvement in the final sector to take 5th position. So the drivers that are leaving that session, a few surprises, especially when I say Yossi Heinze, Borussia and Westy all going out. YBR Hibilu joining them as well. Double O showing some good pace in that Mercedes, just sneaking through. Lawrence Aylin leaving it late, but it was well worth it. And you could just see the track improvements that were found. They found chunks of time on that lap. Aylin especially, because he was actually down heading through the first sector. So found around about half a second in the final couple of sectors. That is where you're going to make up all your time in qualifying. So we'll just run through quickly now the order from that first qualifying session. See Thomas with quite a big gap at the top from Paulie Orange, who did manage to improve. Him, Thomas and Josh, the only drivers in the 1 minute 15s. Lawrence and Aylin finding some big improvements at the end. Verhan getting through with his first session here at FOR, as has Pedro, Irish Dude Potato and Dynastics. You can see there Yossi Heinze missing out by less than a tenth of a second. YBR not too far behind either. And Borussia, Hibilu also out. And Westy not setting a time. It's been Thomas who's had to come back from the back of the grid over the last couple of races. Have to see whether Westy can do the same here at the Hungarian Thomas obviously has had a bit of help with safety cars at the last 2 races, one of which you could probably arguably say he caused at Silverstone. But we saw the incident between Praga and Double O last time out in Germany on lap 1, which caused the safety car and allowed Thomas to pull off the 2-stop strategy perfectly. Westy might need a bit of that luck as well in this session. He's out in Q1. That is the big story from that session. So looking nice and sunny for the second part of qualifying. 15 minutes in this session, and a reminder once again that the top 10 will have to qualify, well, whatever tyres that they qualify on in this session, that is what they will have to start on. So that is why you're seeing a mix of tyres. Everyone obviously going for the softs in the first session, few drivers choosing the hards and mediums this time around. Paulie Orange, Thomas and Josh must be feeling pretty confident if they feel they can get through on those hard tyres, as one of the Renaults headed out early, and that is Josh on the hards, trying to get a bit of free air. Wouldn't surprise me if he does a few laps on these tyres. They don't really wear out too quickly. Josh, I must say, he's only had 1 win so far this season, but could have easily taken victories in all of the races that he's competed in. Was leading in France, crossed the line in first position, but penalties gave the victory to Westy. Austria was dominant there, taking a victory. Could have easily been a 1-2 for the Renault team, with Skivan, who's unfortunately had to leave the league. In Silverstone, the rain at the end of the race just cost him slightly as he made a mistake in Stowe on the final lap, giving Thomas the victory, but he recovered to second place. And again, he was supremely fast in Germany, but Thomas's 2-stop strategy pretty much unbeatable after the safety car, and Josh having to settle for 3rd place behind Thomas and Westy. So he'll be hoping he can get that elusive 2nd victory today. Thomas also out on the hard tyres. We are seeing most of the field actually going for the mediums. It's Irish Stewart Potato, Andenge, Aylin, Verhan and Droftas. Not too surprised perhaps to see Droftas and Aylin going for them soft tyres, especially Droftas. He did only just make it through in the end. Well, actually no, he did move his way quite up, a long way up at the end, so maybe it would have been worth going for the mediums to start with, seeing what pace you've got, as Josh, hopefully for his sake, he has listened to my advice and put a few laps of fuel in, as he's invalidated that first lap. Droftas, he's just setting the time. Yeah, surprised a few more of these haven't actually put the medium tyres on just to see what they can do. As Droftas taking it very easy in the early stage of this session. Maybe he's changing his mind and going to head back to the pits. He's got a Red Bull behind him of Dynastics, but the Red Bull is on an outlap, so he doesn't have to get out of the way at this moment. Fairhan pushing pretty hard on those softs at the moment. Was outside the top 10 in Q1 obviously, so we'll need to find an improvement. McLaren of Thomas heads towards the 9. Now what time can he do? It's a 1:16.913 on those hard tyres, of course, so I think he'll be pretty pleased with that for a first run, as we see Fairhan now heading around the final corner. What can he do on the softs? It's a 1:17.156 at this moment in time. Droftas heading round the final corner. He's been taking it very steady, and that shows by the lap time of 1:19.2 for him. His teammate, though, flying, goes purple in the first sector. So Double O, every race he's finished, he's been in the points. His problem hasn't been pace. His problem has just been finishing, though. So we'll see what he can do. Purple again in the second sector, so looking nice and clean at the moment for Double O. Managed at 8th place in Germany. After that incident with Praga, he had to recover and comes across the line now just behind Thomas with a 1:16.949 on a slightly softer set of tyres. of course. The gap between the mediums and the hards, not as big as the gap between the softs and the mediums, so I don't think he'll be too upset with that time. Very decent first showing from him, as Josh has headed back into the pit. Droftas again, taking it extremely sedately on this lap, and does head into the pits, so wondering what strategy he's going to be going for, as Jonathan Cox has crashed out of this session. Double O has just gone past him at the exact same place Westy retired as well. Coming through turn 4, you will see a racing point missing parts of his car. So Jonathan Cox not setting a lap time. Just like in the first qualifying session, that is a driver eliminated due to an accident as Andenge invalidates his lap time. Hopefully he'll be able to get out of the way of the Haas behind him. It is actually Irish Dude Potato who's on an out lap. I'm not sure if Andenge knew that, but anyway, Irish Dude Potato, he's gone for the hards early on just to try and set a banker lap early on. Jonathan Cox will be out of this session unless by some miracle everyone else behind him crashes, because he's showing in 10th position at the moment, and I can't really see that happening. Artiero, the man who I've said before seems to invalidate a lot of qualifying laps, and he's done that once already in this session. What can he do now? He heads very wide again through turn 12. I'm probably not doing him any favours by keep cutting to his car as he's doing that, because I don't think a few of the other drivers will be too pleased with that if they see what he's doing, but the game is allowing it, and it's the same for everyone, and that is what sort of lap time it can get you. 1:16.693 for Artillero. 8.5 minutes in this session at the moment. He is the fastest. Reminder, this is not for pole position, this is just to settle the top 10 in the qualifying session. Pedro's headed out on soft tyres. Who's looking pretty good at the moment? Paulie Orange heading round 1:17.722. That is 8 tenths off of Thomas on the same set of tyres. I think he might have to find a bit more pace and head onto the mediums, as Thomas has done, if he wants to get through to the next session. Fight for D on his first lap on the medium tyres as well. Both Alphas coming towards the end of the lap, and Denge is invalidated yet again. So whatever there is in the Alfa Romeo with invalidated laps, it seems to have caught. Got a yellow flag, which I think is only going to be for Fight for D. I'm not sure if he's made a slight mistake through sector 2 there, coming through turn 4. Very tricky corner, as a few of the drivers are finding out, and he has slowed down on this lap, but he has got enough time to improve. More than halfway through this second qualifying session, and still only 6 drivers managing to set a lap time at this moment due to invalidations and incidents. Artero, Thomas, Double O, Fairhand, Paulie Orange and Droftas, those who have completed a lap at this moment. There's Josh. Again, very sedate pace some of these drivers are heading. Artero having to wait for his teammate to be wheeled into the pits there. Who is on a hot lap at the moment? Irish Nude Potato, he's invalidated as well. They're really finding this Hungarian circuit tricky. If you were with myself on Tuesday for the F2 race, you will have seen how tricky they found the track in those cars. It's a very twisty circuit. As you see there, he's just diving out of the way. It has Irish Nude Potato of Furhan, who is currently 4th position, looking for an improvement. He's the Toro Rosso driver, 4th at the moment. Can he find a bit more time, get himself up around where Double O and Thomas and Artero are? There's your answer to that. Fastest he goes, 1:16.484 for Furhan in the Toro Rosso. One of the Toro Rossos in Ibilu is going to be starting towards the back of the grid, and if Furhan can keep that pace up in Q3, might have one starting at the front as well. Great lap for him. Fight for D improving at the moment. He set a 1:25.161 last time, but obviously we saw him slow down in the second sector. What sort of time can he find this time around in his first representative lap time? Himself and Droftas not really setting one of those at the moment, and I'm not too surprised to see that Droftas has actually changed to the medium tyres. And Fight for D goes up to 3rd, a 1:16.867 Are we going to see a few more drivers head out onto the pits now, onto the track now with 5 minutes remaining? And are we going to see anyone risk those soft tyres just to try and get themselves into Q3? They're not the best race tyre. Droftas, the only person to have set a lap on those soft tyres at the moment, but he will improve that when he heads out, no matter what tyres he heads onto, I am sure. Well, some of the drivers who were a bit lower down in the order in the last session feel the need to go for the soft tyres to try and give themselves a chance of getting into Q3. We'll have to wait and see what they're heading for. At the moment, most of the drivers are in the pits. We've reached that lull in the qualifying session. A few drivers heading out on outlaps, and Denge coming onto a fast lap at the moment. He's in 11th, and I said if no one sets a lap, Jonathan Cox could actually make it through to Q3. Looking at the classification at the moment, if for whatever reason there was a sudden rainstorm right now and everyone had to skate off the circuit and couldn't keep the car on, the rain came that down suddenly, he'd be through to Q3 despite crashing out, but he wouldn't be able to take part in Q3, I don't believe. It's a very unlikely scenario, but strange things do tend to happen in Formula 1. And Denge now, a few more drivers obviously coming out on outlaps. He's tried to skip the traffic. This might have been a very wise move from the Alfa Romeo driver to ensure you don't get caught up in anyone else's traffic or incidents. Very easily done, of course. So what's he doing now? We're seeing yellow flags. That was just with the cars slowing down. No representation, of course, to his best time as he yet to set one, but not going purple. Furhan has retired. See, he seems happy with that 1:16.484. It remains to be seen whether that will be good enough to get him through. A lot could depend on what sort of time Andenge, Lawrence, Pedro, these sort of guys set that we know can be good. And Andenge at the moment goes into 6th place with a 1:17.004. Good enough for 6th at the moment. Not quite sure whether that will be good enough to get him through to the next qualifying session. I think anything around the high 1:16s is going to be the bubble time at the moment. Anything around what Double O has set. Seeing a lot of drivers starting their laps now. Both Reynolds and Aylan starting their hot laps at the moment. Artiero and Fight for D, they're sitting in this bit, so they look, I wouldn't say sitting comfortably at the moment. I think they should be fine on that lap time, but we'll have to wait and see as we've seen some improvements there. Thomas has retired from the session. That could be big story in this qualifying session. Thomas has retired. This is the first time he's really had a chance in qualifying after missing it in Silverstone and getting a Q2 ban in Germany, and he has just dropped it coming out of turn 1. This could give Josh a perfect opportunity in this race. It seems to have been himself, Thomas and Westy dominating almost FOR since they joined. Fight for D retires from the session, obviously feeling pretty comfortable. But with Thomas probably getting knocked out of this session as well. He did set a 1:16.9, but that was on the hard tyres. You can see actually, yeah, it has demoted him down the order anyway because he's retired from the session. As Josh goes fastest on a 1:16.1, that'll be good enough for him to get through. So Thomas, I think he is going to be out of this session. Jonathan Cox is definitely out. What can Droftas do? Double O just got a time penalty there for a severe collision. Not quite sure who that was with because I'm following Droftas round. It looks like Double O's pretty much out on circuit by himself, so he must have sped past the two Hassers. I did just miss that. See what time Droftas can do. Can he improve? Goes up into 8th. Only 1 place improvement. It's going to be tough, I think, but it might be another 11th place for Droftas, and we know he enjoys starting there. Not long to go now in this qualifying session. Most of the drivers are out on track. Double O and Andenge in the pits. They won't be able to set a lap time, so it's going to be a very nervous wait for those guys. Pedro only done 1 lap, and I think he's just heading now towards a fast one, just warming up his car. Droftas has pulled out of the way to let one of the Ferraris through. That'll be Lawrence, so he's feeling pretty confident at the moment. Don't think he's going to have the tyres left to improve. Dynastics going quickest of everyone in the second sector. Invalidated his earlier lap time. He would get a chance again if things go wrong. Slight lock up by him coming through turn 13. Looking good at the moment. This should be quick enough to get the Red Bull into Q3. The sole remaining Red Bull after Brussia went out in the last session, and it is 4th place with a 1:16.724 for Dynastics at the moment. Paulie Orange, he's now the driver looking to be out of this session at this moment in time with a 1:17.722. There seems to be a bit of a glitch with the timing board here, showing people in different times. Hopefully that won't have an effect on what happens. Checkered flag is out, so everyone who's on a lap now. Lawrence wasn't able to improve with a 1:18.1. He is out of the session. Paulie Orange, can he find a big improvement here? Knock Thomas out of the session. Both the Haas drivers look like they're going to be the ones who can improve, and Pedro as well, who they're coming up towards the final few corners now. Paulie Orange moves up into 6th place. What can Irish Dude Potato do? He actually invalidated his lap time, so it's all on Pedro now. Pedro with a 1:21.752 at the moment. What sort of time can he set to move himself up the order? He is through to Q3 on his debut, so he's got through on his debut, as has Furhan and Dynastics. But Jonathan Cox out of that session after making an accident. And there you can see Thomas as well would have been fast enough, but he will not be able to take part in the next qualifying session. So he'll be starting in 10th. But Josh quickest in that session by 3/10 of a second from Furhan. Altiero in 3rd. Dynastics 4th. Pedro 5th. Fight for D 6th. Paulie Orange getting his ass through in 7th. Double O in 8th. And Denge making it 2 Alphas through. Double O will have that 5-second penalty. So be a tough race for him. And Thomas crashing out. He'll start 10th. Aylin will start 11th. Droftas 12th. Lawrence 13th. Jonathan Cox crashing out early on. An Irish Nude Potato invalidating his laps. He will be making his FOR debut from 15th on the grid. So we'll only have the 9 cars joining us in this 3rd qualifying session. 12 minutes. Now there's no tactics when it comes to the tyres. It's just putting those softs on that you have saved and going all out through this final session. Will anyone be able to stop Josh getting his 3rd pole position in a row? I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if he doesn't make it that. I think the real battle could be for who joins him on that front row. Furhan looking a lot better in that 2nd session than he did in the 1st one. Fight for D has shown some great pace as well. We've got 2 Alphas and 2 Renaults. They're the 2 teams that have managed to get both their drivers through. What can Pedro do as well? I personally believe he's a stronger racer than a qualifier. He always seems to gain positions in races, but if he starts alongside his teammate in this 1st and 2nd, then that could be a very interesting race, as now a few of these drivers are heading out of the pit lane to start what will be their first runs. Interesting to see whether anyone will sustain the pit lane and only give themselves 1 run in this qualifying session. That is usually the case. So any predictions from you guys who you think is going to take pole position here? Josh obviously looking to make it 3 in a row, and he must be feeling pretty confident about his chances now that he has seen his two main rivals over the last few races in Westy and Thomas both have accidents in this qualifying session. Westy dropping it extremely early in Q1, coming through turn 4 in an identical fashion pretty much to what Jonathan Cox did in Q2, and Thomas losing it through Q1 there. This is going to be a very interesting 12 minutes of this FOR Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying session. Just a reminder, this stream brought to you in association with Mixed Energy. Check out the link below, and also remember to use FOR 2020 to get 10% off. Use it to give yourself a bit of energy as you're jogging, doing whatever you need doing around the house in these times. Also, Player One Coffee as well. Feel free to check them out. Their link is also in the description, and you can get an exclusive coupon for them. Fight for D heading on his lap. It's Dynastics who is going to be first man. So 1 minute 15.5, I believe, was the fastest time from that Q1 session. The track has rubbed in a bit more, so we could see some 114s in this session if some of these drivers really nail it. And Dynastics looking to be pushing that Red Bull to the limit at the moment. What kind of time can he do? Could he keep up this trend we seem to have at FOR of debutants doing extremely well? Westy, Paulie Orange, Josh, Thomas, all have finished on the podium on their debut. Most of them winning it. You could argue that all of them really winning, because Josh was first to cross the line but got it taken off him for on penalty. So they've all done extremely well on their debut, and 3 of the 4 debutants have made it through tonight. So Dynastics, he heads towards the line with a 1:16.261. He'll definitely have more pace to find, I feel, than that. Arturo, he comes across the line with a 1:15.8. Josh, there we go, fastest so far in this session with a 1:15.4, and Ferhan has carried over that pace from the first session with a 1:15.795. Vasta Racer has put Ferhan on his pick for pole position. He's going to have to find 3/10 of a second on his second run if he wants to do that. Arturo currently third, Fight for D fourth, Dynastics in 5th. We now see the second bunch of drivers making their run. Paulie Orange, championship leader. You won't be too fussed by how he's done at the moment, getting himself through into Q3. Josh is his nearest rival, who's actually managed to get into Q3, but he is 33 points behind. And with Westy and Borussia getting knocked out in Q1, the Haas driver must be feeling pretty confident that he will still have the championship lead heading into Belgium next weekend. The Paulie Orange, number 6 in the black and gold Haas, what will be a 1-season only livery after the infamous Rich Energy deal, which I'm sure we all know so much about. Paulie Orange now heading through the first sector. What sort of lap time can he do? Purple at the moment. He's looking pretty good. I must say, I did expect Josh to find a bit more time in this session now that the track has improved, but it has got a bit overcast around this circuit, so tyres overheating shouldn't be a problem, but maybe they're just a bit too cool at the start of the lap to really optimise their pace. Paulie Orange in the Haas heading around that second sector at the moment. Not purple for him, but he'll be hoping just to set around about where Ferhan and Arturo will be at the moment. Beating Josh would be a huge bonus for him, and what is likely to be his one and only go at this qualifying session. Let's see what Paulie Orange can do now. Rounding the final corner, you'll hear the beat. DRS wide open on the Haas. He goes into second place. 1:15.691. Great lap from the Haas driver. He's showing some real pace lately, and he's on second position at the moment. Double O goes into 5th. As Pedro looking very quick in the Renault. Can he make it a Renault 1-2 with half of the session remaining? He's rounding the penultimate corner. Final corner now. Turn 14 for Pedro as he floors that black and yellow machine towards the finish line, and it's a 1:15.631. He is joining his teammate on the front row for now, and Renault only 8 points off a pass for the top of the Constructors' Championship. They must be feeling very good at this moment in time. We are now seeing a few more drivers. Dynastics heading out on his outlap for his second run. Currently a 1:16.261, slowest of those that have set a time, but only 8 off of Josh, so he'll be looking for an improvement to move himself up the field and give Red Bull a chance in the Constructors' Championship. They are between Haas and Renault. What got to say with the performance of Josh and Pedro so far, Renault will be looking pretty good for a leading the Constructors' Championship with 9 rounds remaining at the end of tonight. And Denge still in the pit, so he's only going to be going for 1 run in this session. Dynastics heading out a bit earlier than everyone else, perhaps making use of the free air and hoping that everything will be going fine for him. He's going to be the only person on a hot lap at the moment, so we'll follow Dynastics around. 1:16.2, his personal best at the moment. What can he do to get himself up towards the top end of the grid? 5 minutes remaining. It's Josh, Pedro, Paulie Orange for top 3, Ferhan 4th, Arturo 5th, 006, Fight for D 7th. This man, Dynastics, as he runs wide through turn 3, invalidates his lap. He's going to have enough time to get back to the pits. and put a bit more fuel in, or has he got enough in the car to do another run? We'll have to wait and see. Josh is headed out on his outlap now, so he'll be looking for an improvement as Dynastic's nearly losing it. That's how desperate he is to get back towards the pit lane. He wants to put a fresh set of boots on that Red Bull, do the best time he could. He's pretty much rallycrossing his way around this circuit now, and unsurprisingly, given that he's only on an outlap and he doesn't want to ruin the tyres, things looking a lot more serene for Josh at the moment. His record since he's joined FOR in F1, he got a 3rd place in France, took the win in the fastest lap in Austria, pole position, and led for all but the last corner pretty much in Britain to finish 2nd, and pole position translated into a 3rd place last time out in Germany. Is he going to make it 3 pole positions out of 3 races? It looks like his teammate is his main challenger at the moment. He's going to have free air on this lap. The Ferrari just coming out of the pits ahead of him, but Fight for D, I'm sure, will dive out the way to ensure he doesn't hold him up. Although I don't think Josh would mind too much if he gets a bit of a slipstream up the hill coming out of turn 3. So Josh, we'll see what sort of time he does in the first sector. Is he going to be finding any improvement as Fight for D does indeed move out of the way? As Josh comes across that first sector split at the moment, it's 12 thousandths up. It's purple from the Renault, but he's not going to be able to do any more. He has invalidated his lap, so he's now just going to sit back and hope that he's good enough. He'll be able to set another lap if he's got enough fuel in that car to get another run. He is actually still going round. Yeah, now he's realised that he has invalidated that lap. I know sometimes the game does show a red track map when they are actually able to do a fast lap, so judging by the fact that he's saving ERS, I'd say he might have enough fuel in to get one more lap done in this qualifying session. We'll have to wait and see. Got a yellow flag there just for cars moving out of the way, and Denge coming out to set what will be his only time. Furhan needs to find 1.5 tenths to get himself onto the front row of the grid. Currently 4th place on his debut in the Toro Rosso. Fight for D also starting his hot lap. Josh is in the pit, so that might be it for him. Although he's going to have enough time to get back out again. It's just whether he's got enough tyres to do it. Furhan not able to improve so far, staying well away from the exit curve at turn 4, making sure he's not invalidating his lap time at the moment. Double O on his hot lap as well. This is going to be the final run for these guys. I feel they're not going to have enough tyres or ERS left to get themselves on another hot run. What's Furhan's time as he heads now round about turn 10, coming towards the final sector of this lap? He's 3 tenths up on his personal best at the moment. Oh, hello. Josh might not be sitting as comfortably as he thought at the top of these timing sheets if Furhan can nail this final sector of the lap. Only needs to find a small improvement from his personal best, and he will be on pole position in this session, and he has done it. Furhan with a 1:15.400 pole position at the moment for the Toro Rosso driver. Who's going to be next man across the line? Double O must have made a mistake somewhere because he's slowed right down, unless is he trying to get enough space for another lap? Hopefully he'll get well out of the way. Fight for D has retired. Artiero has gone off the circuit. So a few drivers do seem to be struggling here in this session. Double O is just trying to find more space. Artiero needs to hurry up, I think, if he wants to get back out again. And Denge looking very quick in the first part of this lap. Dynastics did have enough time to get back to the pits and get another outlap. So Josh, the highest he'll be starting is 2nd. But if these guys find a bit more improvement, might not even be doing that. Last racer turned out to be right at the moment with his prediction. We'll have to wait and see. So O's going to head across the line now. Artiero just managing to start another lap. Did Paulie Orange get across the line in time? It looked extremely marginal for the Haas driver, but he's got away with it for now. What can Andenge do? Purple in sector 1 for the Alfa Romeo driver. This is going to be his one and only time. Can he challenge towards the front row of the grid? And it's 8th place at the moment for Andenge. I don't think he'll be too upset about that lap time. Dynastics has gone off at turn 4. That's proving extremely tricky for all these drivers. You can just see there the Red Bull with no front wing as Artiero drifted his way around turn 5 there, so he's not going to be able to find much improvement on his time drifting like that. And in fact, Paulie Orange is pretty close to the back of him, so that's not ideal timing for these drivers. As Pedro can find an improvement, he's 3 tenths up on his personal best. So he might be able to knock his teammate off the front row here, but get Renault a pole position. So this will be a 3rd consecutive pole position for Renault if Pedro can nail it around the final corner, and he has done. 1:15.351, good enough for pole at the moment. Double O moving up into 4th place. Artiero and Paulie Orange will be the last couple of cars to head across the line. Artiero stays in 6th for now. Paulie Orange, unfortunately, we didn't see what time he has done, but it is Pedro on his debut taking pole position, and he's got another debutant alongside him in Ferhan Racer. So there is confirmation of the top 9 in this session. Pedro was fastest, Ferhan 2nd, Josh unfamiliar territory for him, starting in 3rd, Double O in 4th, and look how close it was, less than 2 tenths off of pole position for the Mercedes driver. Paulie Orange, championship leader, he'll be pleased to be starting in 5th, Artiero 6th, Fight for D 7th, Andenge 8th, and Dynastics 3rd victim in 3 sessions of turn 4. He will be starting in 9th position. Great final runs there, and just oh so important how it is to keep it clean. Josh was slightly up on his personal best coming through turn 4, but just invalidated his lap time, and that is enough to knock him out of the front row of the grid, but he'll be feeling pretty good for 3rd position. The drivers will now just be setting their strategies. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day here at the Hungaroring. No rain, thankfully, for these guys. Otherwise, they'd probably be ringing Jenson Button up for tips. Jenson won the first 2 wet races here in 2006 and 2011. 2006 obviously being his first ever victory in Formula 1. The drivers now just getting their strategies ready. We'll know what tyres the top 10 will be starting on. They will be on the mediums. And Double O, good job he got into 4th place. That is going to drop him down to 9th after that 5th place grid penalty for a collision in qualifying. Sometimes the game is a bit eager to give away those penalties, but he's recovered pretty well, and he'll be starting in 9th. But we've got 2 debutants on the front row, and this will be a cracking 35 laps. As we now wait for the formation lap to get underway, and we'll check what tyres the rest of the field are on. You can see there, no one going for the soft tyres. I can't say that is a surprise given how little they last around this circuit. Thomas obviously did set his fastest lap on the hards in qualifying, and Alan, Irish Nude Potato, YBR, Hibilu and Westy have also gone for the hard tyres. Westy in the Williams, he'll be playing the long game. Williams not having the best of qualifying, both drivers heading out in Q1. They have recovered in the Constructors' Championship to 6th position on 99 points at the moment. Westy really getting the majority of them since he has joined the lead. We'll have to see how he does in this qualifying session now. From 20th position, that's where Thomas started round about the back in Silverstone and Germany. Not quite as far back as 20th, as we didn't have a full grid, and it didn't stop him taking 2 victories there. But this Hungarian Grand Prix circuit, a much more tougher proposition to overtake. Quick reminder, if you haven't already, to check out the podcast from last week and the exhibition race that took place on Friday around the Barcelona circuit. There will be another one this week. There'll be the podcast again on Monday, and I'll be bringing you F2 action from Spa on Tuesday as well at 9 PM, where you can see the majority of these drivers and a few others take to the circuits in the F2 cars. Those races are always crazy, especially the sprint races, and we could have a very crazy race here today, as we're now seeing the cars coming around the final corners, getting ready for qualifying, getting ready for the race I should say. And there is actually going to be rain later in the race. Jonathan Cox has told me that, so thanks for that update. That could make things very interesting indeed in this session, as the lights are getting ready to come on now. Who is going to take victory here at the Hungarian? And there they are. It's 3, 4, 5 lights are lit. They're out and we are racing here at Hungary. It's a good start from Ferhan Racer straight away, getting out ahead of Pedro, and Josh is also going to get past his teammate. It's been a nightmare start from pole position as Josh looks around the outside of Ferhan, not able to do so. Is he going to try and cut back into turn 2? They're side by side at the moment, but Ferhan just getting his nose ahead. Josh trying to go all the way around the outside into turn 2. That'll give him the inside line for turn 3, and I think he might just about be alongside. No, not able to do so. And Denj has moved up into 4th position as well in the early stages. So it's Ferhan, Josh, Pedro, and Denj, Paulie Orange, Arturo, Dynastics and Fight for D battling, and Double O trying to get himself involved in that as well. Thomas managing to stay in 10th place after starting on those hard tyres. Everyone through safely through the first couple of corners, and Pedro dropping 2 positions from his starting spot, and Denj up 3, Jonathan Cox up 3 as well, Borussia up 4, and it was up 5 for a bit as he's fighting with Droftas. I think there's a bit of decent going on between the two of them there, because that is definitely not a conventional overtake from the Red Bull driver. So he's battling for 13th with Droftas. Jonathan Cox in 11th. He's moved up a lot of the positions, but the big winner, obviously from lap 1, Ferhan and Josh heading in the lead. No DRS for the first couple of laps. Pedro trying to recover after a bad start in the 3rd place, but he's got Andenj all over the back of him already. He won't be able to afford to go for a lunge though, as he's got Paulie Orange not too far behind as well. Although there's been contact there with Dynastics and Arturo. We just caught the Red Bull going into the side of the Alfa Romeo. Big damage on the front wing of that Red Bull, so he's going to have to go all the way around, and he could hold a few of these drivers up, and there's a bit of a traffic jam going on already. We're nearly 3 wide through turn 3, which is definitely not recommended. Arturo having to go a long way off of the circuit. It was almost in Austria, never mind Hungary. He'd ran that wide there. Can't see any damage on his car, but Dynastics is definitely going to struggle to get round. Surely the Red Bull driver is going to have to pit on this lap to replace this front wing. Any circuit that you do not want to be without your full complement of downforce, it is this one. And already he's dropped back to about 2 seconds behind Paulie Orange. They only saw the tail end of that incident, so can't really comment on what happened, as Double O now looks to be inside of Fight for D. Mercedes and Ferrari battling over 8th and 9th position at this moment, but they've got to be careful because Thomas isn't too far behind. In fact, he nearly bumps into the back of these guys, and yes, Dynastics does dive into the pits. They will have DRS next time around. It is enabled on this lap, but there's a section point too early on for anyone to use it. As we can see now, Josh in 2nd position, fastest lap of the race he set last time around. He's showing some good pace at the moment as Jonathan Cox and Thomas battling for 9th and 7th place. Thomas going way off the circuit. I'm not sure Jonathan Cox will be too happy about that, but that does give Thomas the inside line for turn 2. The racing point on the better tyres. Is he able to hold him off? Not this time around. He drops down into 10th position. Borussia, he's moved up on the early laps. He always seems to do this in the Red Bull. He's 11th at the moment, way ahead of his teammate Dynastics, coming out in last place after that incident with Arturo, but thankfully he's able to run, and we do still have all 20 drivers running, and it is extremely close throughout the field, apart from obviously Dynastics dropping back and Arturo leading this train of cars through after he got held up by the damaged Red Bull. Josh's best chance are going to be in these first few laps. Does he just sit behind Ferhan, save a bit of ERS, save a bit of fuel, and use the DRS to just help him keep in contact with Ferhan, or does he go for the move early on because he's a long way back at the moment? Got a good exit though out of the final corner, did Josh in the Renault, and he is closing pretty quick. Is Ferhan going to feel the need to defend? Not this time. Josh just showing his nose slightly and maybe compromising his exit there through turn 1. Ferhan's going to be safe this time around. You can just see them all running pretty much line astern. That DRS train in full effect at the moment. That's going to make it very hard for a few of these drivers to move their way up through the field. They'll be hoping that a few more gaps start to appear. Josh drifting his way through turn 4. The dirty air not as prominent on the games as it is in real life, thankfully, That is why we do get such close and great racing, but maybe just causing those tyres to heat up a bit. Ubilo seems to be struggling on his hards at the moment, as he has already got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So we're only on lap 4. It could be a long evening for that Toro Rosso driver, and for the other one, he might find it a long evening with Josh all over the back of him. But you see Josh, how hard he's having to push in the Renault, as he's also earned himself a penalty. Don't want to get too many of them, as that will cost you positions, especially if the field remains as close as this. About to start lap 5 already of this Hungarian Grand Prix, and Ferhan, fastest lap of the race from the Toro Rosso. He tries to pull away slightly. These two are getting away from Pedro and Andenja. That could just give Paulie Orange a chance. He needs to put on an overtake. Thomas just needs to bide his time, wait for those hard tyres to become the superior tyre to those around him. DRS is going to help him keep in contact at this moment in the race. Barusha's managed to get past Droftas and Aylin, and he's now got a bit of a gap to try and catch up to Jonathan Cox. Going to be tough to do so with DRS, enabling them to stay in contact, but Coxey is dropping back ever so slightly from Thomas at this point in the race, and Dynastic's way back on his own at the back of the field. He's got a long evening on those hard tyres to come. Wouldn't surprise me if he does have to pit one more time before the end of this race. Maybe onto the soft tyres and giving himself a chance of getting the fastest lap. Still over 30 laps to go. It's going to be very exciting here, but Ferhan and Josh are pushing away at the head of the field at the moment. Ferhan just keeping that gap comfortable at this moment in time. Pedro seems to be struggling a bit more to keep in touch with the lightning pace these front two are setting at the moment. Josh went purple in that final sector in an attempt to close up to Ferhan, but he's not able to keep in contact at the moment. Well, keeping contact enough to go for an overtake at least, so might have to try something on the strategy if he wants to win, because Ferhan's just keeping him covered off in these early stages. And Denge has caught up to the back of Pedro. You've actually seen Lawrence, he's dropped quite a long way down the field. If I check the position changes, yeah, Lawrence losing 5 places, so I'm not sure if he's just made a mistake there, as he's battling with YBR. They've been going side by side through turn 2 there, but the Williams holding on to that 17th place for now. It's just for pride at the moment. But if something happens, you never know what might happen in this race. It's looking very exciting throughout the field and extremely close at this moment in time. With Josh half a second behind Ferhan, that gap remaining ever so constant, as they are escaping obviously from Pedro at this moment in time, who's not thinking about closing the gap. He's just thinking about defending. He's really struggling with understeer, it looks like, on that Renault at this point in the race. And Denge all over the back of him. Could this be a change for third position? This is the closest we've seen the Alfa Romeo, already going to the inside line, and Denge takes that third position. And from Pedro, who started on pole, he's just not really had a great start. Seems to be struggling on these medium tyres. Wouldn't surprise me if he's one of the first drivers to pit. He tries to look at Andenja again into turn 2, but the Alfa Romeo still having that DRS, of course, able to hold on for third position as well. Alfa Romeo looking pretty good at the moment, you've got to say, in 3rd and 6th place. They moved up from the bottom of the Constructors' Championship last time around. They are now 9th ahead of Toro Rosso. And with Toro Rosso looking like they're scoring a win at the moment, they're going to need every point they get to ensure they stay off the foot of the table. Lap 7 here out of 35 at the FOR Season 1 Hungarian Grand Prix. And it is Ferhan, Josh and Denge. Artiero seems to enjoy making his own racetrack. I do hope he's getting warnings for that. He's running around in 6th place at the moment, pulling away from Fight for D, as he tries to close up the gap to Paulie Orange, who is now all over the back of Pedro. But Pedro will have a bit of assistance, obviously, off the DRS. So Andenge last time was able to get past the Renault driver. Will the Renault be able to give the Alfa Romeo a taste of his own medicine heading down the pit straight on lap 8 this time around? He's looking close. Andenge defending. Pedro's going to have to go the long way round if he wants to do anything about it. Looking for that cutback, but just doesn't seem to have the grip at the moment. Still got DRS But Andenge again having to go defensive. Pedro's going to be forced a long way around at turn 2. If you can keep your car alongside, that does give you the inside for turn 3. He's managed to do that. Andenge is holding on though. Great driving from the pair of them to avoid any contact. And Andenge just holds on to that position for now. Further back, we've got Double O Thomas on the back of Fight for D, who has dropped back from R12, so that's going to make it a bit harder. We are seeing a few more gaps appear now throughout the field. Understandable as the race goes on. We've got this train of cars for 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. We've got another one that Borussia is leading all the way down to 16th. They've all got DRS there with YBR not too far back either. A lot of battling going on throughout the field at the moment. But Ferhan in the lead of this race looking pretty comfortable for now. Just is this taking too much out of his tyres? Is Josh just hanging back and saving tyres and saving ERS? Both looking actually pretty good on ERS at the moment. Josh has the DRS open, but again, too far back to have a go into turn 1. His teammate also just looks a bit too far behind, but he should be able to line up Andenge for a go into turn 2 as the Alfa Romeo has ran wide. So as long as Pedro can get a better exit, he just doesn't seem to have the traction on the exit of the corner. He tried around the outside of turn 2 last time. He's going to try again this time. Didn't really have the line there, and he stays in 4th place as Double O has managed to get past Fight for D for 7th, and Thomas, he's on those hard tyres. They're still going to start coming into their own any time now. He must be thinking he needs to make his way up the field at the moment. If we look at the gap to the leader, he's 11 seconds behind Ferhan at this moment in time. 2 wins from 2. He wants to keep that 100% record and become the first 3-time winner we've had this season. Westy, one of the other drivers who's won 2 races so far this season, is currently 14th, and Paulie Orange in 5th, battling tooth and nail with Pedro and Andenge at the moment for that final podium position as we are about to start lap 10 of 35 here at the Hungarian. Andenge again taking that wider line through the final corner just to give him a straighter exit, similar to what you see the drivers do in the wet when they're struggling for traction, and it does allow him to just pull away from Pedro ever so slightly. The Renault driver's not going to be close enough this time around into turn 1. If I'm not mistaken, R12 is slowly reeling these drivers in. He's pretty much the only driver apart from Dynastics who are on his own at the moment, as Thomas has gone down the inside of Fight for D into turn 1. That is a position change for 8th. Jonathan Cox in the racing point. Reminder, they have not had any points since Austria, with them running 10th and 15th at the moment. It's going to be touch and go as to whether they get any here as well. But Jonathan Cox trying to make his way past Fight for D at the moment, who's holding on to 9th place. Thomas has moved into 8th. Double O will be his next target as we see Droftas getting a penalty as he's trying to get past Alan as well. And just look how close Pedro is to Andenge through this middle sector of the circuit. We're just not able to pass through there, and that's just going to overheat your car, overheat the tyres. Most importantly, that is the only really management concern in terms of reliability that the drivers have to worry about. They don't have to worry about engines, gearboxes exploding too much unless you're ragging the bones off the thing and ignoring the shift limiter. Pedro just getting a bit of oversteer. The Renault looking a bit tail happy through the final corner. Arturo is definitely just slowly reeling in these guys as Pedro shows his nose to Andenge, who's a wise old head. He's seen that plenty of times. Borussia into the pits on lap 9. That is pretty early, I must say. I was expecting a few more laps from those on the mediums, round about lap 12 or 13 before trying to get the hards to the end of the race. So Borussia going to come out in 19th position, I believe, ahead of his teammate, and he's gone for the medium tyres again, so it's going to be a 2-stop from Borussia in the Red Bull. Can he make it work? I imagine that will be soft at the end of the race then for Borussia as he tries to get the fastest lap. But he's coming out in free air. He'll have good use of those medium tyres, and we'll wait and see where that strategy puts him towards the end of this race. This time Pedro is a bit further back from Andenge through that second sector, and that might just allow him to have saved his tyres. As I say that though, he's gone deep into turn 12. He will not be too happy about that. Double O is pulling away ever so slightly from Thomas, who is managing to stay in DRS range. Jonathan Cox did get past Fight for D, who I think might be coming in soon, as he just seems to be getting swamped by the cars around him. He's in 10th place, where he finished last time out. Alan moving up to 11th after the pit stop of Borussia, and he's got Droftas and Westy all over the back of him. Westy playing the long game after making that mistake in qualifying. Podiums in all 5 of his races so far this season. He's going to have a big job on his hands to make it 6 out of 6, being 20 seconds off the lead at the moment. Lawrence has headed into the pits at the end of lap 11 on those medium tyres, so we'll see what tyres he puts on. The Ferrari crew putting these soft tyres on and a front wing change. So I saw him drop earlier, must have had a minor bit of front wing damage, so 2-stop strategy looking to be what Lawrence and Borussia are definitely going for, as Jonathan Cox has retired from the session. Turn 4 claims another victim, virtual safety car, and I'm surprised given how in the middle of the track that racing point is. That is not a full virtual safety car, so virtual safety car. Has this come out just at the right time, maybe, to let Ferhan and Josh into the pits? So our first retirement of the race is Jonathan Cox, VSC out. And yeah, Ferhan and Josh going to not get a free pit stop, but they're going to gain themselves a bit of time here. Will Andenge, Pedro and some of the other drivers follow in. There's Pedro, very late decision there to come into the pits. I don't think it'll be too long before the VSC is ending, of course, and he's going to be far enough behind his teammate for the double stack to not be a problem, as Josh puts the hards on. Ferhan for the mediums, so the two leaders going for different strategies here, perhaps. We see Ferhan on the mediums, Josh has gone for the hard tyres. VSC has ended. They've played it perfectly. Artiero's also come into the pits, and he has jumped Pedro, so Pedro must have got held slightly there or had some issue. I don't see him have any damage, but he's actually dropped behind Artillero. That is great news for the Alfa Romeo driver, not so much for Pedro. We're seeing a few different strategies here, and that always keep things exciting. But now, new race leader, Andenge, 1.7 seconds ahead of Paulie Orange. Double O and Thomas now battling over 3rd position. Not too surprised that these guys didn't pit, as the VSC would always end and they wouldn't really gain anything from it. So if it wasn't their lap to pit, there was no point on coming in. But it's worked out brilliantly for Ferhan and Josh, you've got to say, as they are just behind this battle. But Ferhan needs to get a move on those medium tyres, as I believe Josh will be trying to get to the end of the race on those hards. This is going to be one to watch in the final few laps. So often in modern Formula 1, we see things just bubbling under the surface before exploding in the last few laps. And it looks like round 12 of the FOR PS4 Championship is heading in the same way, as Ferhan in the DRS zone of Thomas, who's too busy battling Double O at the moment. And Ferhan just says thank you very much, drifts his way around that corner. That was so nearly a perfect overtake from Ferhan if he'd have just been a bit more steady with his right foot there, but he should get ahead of Double O. He's looking very racy at the moment. Double O left one car width and no more than that. That was all that Thomas needed. He moves up into 3rd. Ferhan in 4th. But that could have easily been 3rd position for the Toro Rosso, and just maybe we might look back in 22 laps time at that being a crucial mistake from the net race leader. See who has pitted already. Ferhan, Josh, Pedro, Artiero, Fight for D, Dynastics, as Jossi Heinzer is now out of this session. Jossi Heinzer has gone into the wall. He's lost his rear. He's had a big shunt there at turn 5 as the tyres are beginning to wear out. So both racing points out of this race. The Silverstone team really struggling over the last few races. He's off track, so I think we should get away without any safety car or VSC. I think a few of the drivers will have been hoping for one then, to maybe get rid of this first set of medium tyres. But both racing points are now out of this race, and Ferhan looking very racy. Thomas trying to defend, but he's not got the grip, he's not got the DRS, and it is in vain as Ferhan takes 3rd position. Josh getting past Double O as well for 5th. But Ferhan, he's got a bit of free air now before he catches up to Paulie Orange, and it won't be too long before they head into the pits on their medium tyres. He needs to make the best use of this and push like crazy. 1998, still Michael Schumacher basically get told by Ross Brawn, okay Michael, you've got 18 laps to find 25 seconds, and Ferhan has got to do what his countryman did to win that time out in the Ferrari. He's going to have to push this Toro Rosso to new levels if he wants to take his first victory, as I think Josh will be going to the end on those hard tyres, and you can see he's 2.5 seconds ahead of Josh already. We might find it a bit trickier to get past Thomas, who is on the older tyres, of course, but they're on the hards. He'll be lasting for at least another 5 laps, I must say, in this race, so it'll be interesting how much Thomas and Josh end up holding each other up, perhaps, as Double O has dropped back already. Anyone else heading into the pits on this lap? No, Andenge and Paulie Orange heading on for another lap. Double O has had enough of those tyres. Altiero moves ahead of Irish Nude Potato. He is now up into 11th place. He's actually dropped behind Pedro, another driver going for that 2-stop strategy, so he needs to make his way up. He's now caught up to the traffic of Aylan, Westy and Droftas. Droftas will be getting out of the way shortly. Aylan and Westy not so much here on lap 16 now. 20 laps to go, and it's Andenge with a 0.5 second lead over Paulie Orange at the moment. The championship leader looking good in second place, but Ferhan versus Josh could be a big battle in the final stages of this race, as Ferhan is now 2.5 seconds ahead of Josh. How long can he keep these mediums in good condition for? Will change towards the softs at the end of the race. So I think Ferhan will be hoping to get to at least lap 25, 26, perhaps maybe even a bit more on these medium tyres to ensure the soft tyres are fast and fresh enough so that he can have a go at passing Josh. Or will he get far enough ahead in this period of the race to ensure he's ahead at the end of the pit stops? We'll have to wait and see for that, as Westy's managed to get his way past Aylan. So the Williams now up into 6th place. That's 14 positions gained from Westy from his starting position. It's been a very mature drive from him so far, and we could still see him pick up a very decent points position in the Williams at the moment, as Droftas has gone round. Droftas is around there. Those mediums looking a bit second best at the moment, similar to where George went round in the Prema, as he's actually carrying on for another lap. He's back where he started now in 12th position, but Droftas spinning around there, and he's got Fight for D on the fresh hard tyres all over the back of him at the moment, and the Mercedes not bothering to defend. They're running different races at the moment. Hibilo is bothering to defend from Double O though, but as one Mercedes loses a place, the other one gains. Double O up into 14th after coming out on those hard tyres at this moment in the race. Paulie Orange still not able to get past Andenge. Perhaps more importantly, Josh still behind Thomas. Thomas doing a very good job, as we've come to expect from the performances we've seen from him over the last 2 races on those hard tyres. And Westy's now got a second gap on Aylan, so he's showing his pace. Don't count him out for a very good result this time around. And then Pedro has got past Artero. He's in the net 3rd position at the moment. Could we see him get a podium on debut? Could it be 2 Renaults on the podium, which at the moment would look very good to giving them the lead in the Constructors' Championship? We're halfway through this race, and Ferhan began to catch up now to Paulie Orange and Andenge at possibly the worst part of the circuit to do so, because these are on extremely old medium tyres. They're looking well past their best. Pedro has got past Aylan for 7th place. Ferhan really pushing. He'll be trying to get past Paulie Orange, but he doesn't want to lose the front wing of that Toro Rosso doing so. And he's going to have to spend this entire rest of the second sector and rest of this lap probably stuck behind these, losing grip on his tyres. But thankfully for him, Josh is in the same situation behind the winner of the last 2 races, Thomas. Pedro's next target in 7th place. Pole sitter, let's not forget, not had an ideal start to the race for him, but could still pick up some very good results on his debut. His next target at the moment is Westy. Let's not forget, rain was forecast at the end of this race. In the midst of everything that I've heard, this could explain the 2 stops, which has just what Jonathan Cox told me at the start of the race completely exited my head for a bit then, but thankfully I remembered it could very well rain as Fairhand down the inside of Paulie Orange. He has taken second position again, getting very sideways out of turn 1. He's just too eager again on the throttle pedal, and that might cost him a place, but look how much grip he's got compared to Paulie Orange. Just brakes so much later and drives right around the outside of him. That is Fairhand up into second, and if it rains, that could change everything in this race if all these drivers have to bit. Fairhand is relying on it coming a bit earlier than Josh, of course, and Andenge and Paulie Orange. Maybe that's why they're hanging on to these medium tyres. As I'm not sure if I saw rain there or it was the sparks of Andenge tricking my feeble mind at this point in the race. And this Saturday evening, lap 19, Andenge, you can just see the gap for yourself. You're not going to be able to fit much between the Alfa Romeo and the Toro Rosso, as that is indeed rain. It is raining now here, and Andenge and Paulie Orange may have just played a blinder if they can keep the grip on their tyres for another couple of laps, because they are yet to pit, of course. But Fairhand is going to take the lead of this race surely in the next few seconds. Andenge getting the best possible exit he can, but having to go very defensive already. Left enough of a space for Fairhand to put the Toro Rosso down the inside, and Fairhand takes the lead of this race on lap 20. But those that have yet to pit, Paulie Orange, Andenge, Thomas in fourth. Said he might need a safety car again to take 3 wins in a row. He's had benefited from 2 safety cars. He might just be benefiting from the Hungarian weather here tonight at the moment. Just 2.1 seconds in the lead, and intermediates are definitely going to be needed if the rain stays like this towards the end of the race. If it gets any heavier, they might even have to throw on the wet tyres for the last lap or two. We'll have to wait and see what they go for. Westy in 6th position, battling with Pedro, the Renault, all over the back of the Williams. Yellow flag in sector 1. Not sure if Dynastics has made a mistake there. He does seem to drop back slightly, but Dynastics in 17th at the moment. He's not had an ideal debut. Irish Dude Potato on his debuts in the points, but Fairhand and Pedro are having a great one at the moment. Fairhand 2-second lead now in this race. Thomas all over the back of Paulie Orange. There's not much grip left on those medium tyres, and they really need it in these wet conditions. Watching this onboard now from Josh in the other Renault. Thomas looks to the inside for turn 1. Gets the position done. That is the McLaren into third. Now we've got a yellow flag as Pedro's gone round on the pit straight. Reminiscent of what Vettel did in 2014, and he has gone around. He's dropping way down the field. Could even drop outside the points here. He's just going to get out ahead of YBR after that incident. That is how wet it is getting. YBR's put in a fantastic performance as well yet to pit. Droftas and Denge, Paulie Orange, 20 laps on those medium tyres. You'll be able to see the wheel rim through those Pirelli rubbers any minute now, as Dynastics has retired from the session in the pits. He becomes our 3rd retirement of the race, and if the weather stays like this, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a few more before the end. Lap 21 of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Who's going to be the first? It's Thomas in the wall. Huge news for this championship. Thomas, winner of the last 2 races, has binned it. Virtual safety car. This is where we're going to see the intermediate tyres coming out surely now to get a free pit stop. Yeah, Fairhand is in. Thomas just got it on the curb there, coming out of turn 11, and has put it in the wall. He won in Germany. He won at Silverstone. He's going to get no points here today at the Hungaroring. Thomas out of this race. Virtual safety car, the top 4 all pitting, and I think everyone could be heading in on this lap. Artiero's going for another lap. There's intermediates obviously are on all these cars now. Let's see where they all come out. And Denge holding on ahead of Josh, of course. Paulie Orange in 4th. Artiero, as YBR gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the VSC, and he will have to serve that and won't be able to appeal it. DRS enabled. That says to me that dry tyres might still be good enough, but looking at how wet it is at the moment, we'll have to wait and see. But Anden's looking pretty racy behind his teammate at the moment. You can just see the intermediates have not got any grip at the moment, but it was worth going for that pit stop at the moment. Artiero up into second place. Have these guys just gone a lap or two too early? But they had to counteract that with the reduced pit stop time under the VSC, which Ferhan and Josh have really benefited from. 2 pit stops they've made at the moment, both under the virtual safety car, and Ferhan is now 2.7 seconds ahead as Artiero pushing extremely hard at the moment. Look how much time he's gaining on these guys. It's not raining hard enough yet for the intermediate tyres. Race control usually give us a really good sign. I'd stay away from that curve. If you've seen what Thomas did a lap or two ago, Sunshine, you don't want to end up in the wall as well. But Artiero really doing well on these hard tyres at the moment. It's just not wet enough for intermediates. Aylin catching up to these guys. Are we going to see them pit this lap around? Because once it changes, it will just be like that. There will be no telling. We'll see the DRS disabled sign come up, and then the hard tyres will nearly not be good enough. That last corner looks a bit wetter than some of the others. Aylin heading into the pits. Irish Nude Potato heading in. Pedro staying out on the mediums, and we saw his spin earlier on, so it's a brave choice from him. YBR coming in for his drive-through penalty. Borussia making a last-minute decision to come in as YBR gets another penalty now for speeding in the pit lane. Will we see Lawrence dive into the pits? No, he's heading out. He's staying out on the soft tyres, but I think they'll be getting towards the end of their useful life now as well. Because Artiero is really pushing hard. Ferhan seems to be doing a lot better on these intermediates than some of the others. Josh has got ahead of Andenge, so he is now in 3rd position. Paulie Orange in 5th at the moment. Pedro is catching up to these guys. It looks like it is raining fairly hard, and that the intermediates are going to be the tyre to be on. But the pace of Artiero and the pace of these guys, all that are on the dry tyres, suggests to me that it's just not quite enough yet. They went early, a few of these, because of obviously the VSC, giving them that freer pit stop, reduced time by, you've got to say, about half to about 10 seconds for time they'd lose. But they're just struggling to keep the tyres up, as there we see Artiero getting a time penalty for multiple warnings. It's been coming. And I think now he is going to head into the pits as DRS is disabled as he tries a last-minute decision to head into the pits. He's going to drift his way into the pit lane. That's cost him chunks of time. But we are now definitely at the decision for intermediate tyres. YBR and Lawrence, I'm sure, will also be heading in this lap. So that promotes Andenge back up onto the podium. Just 2nd, Paulie Orange 4th. Where will we see these guys come out? Westy as well. Top 5 looking really on the cards for the Williams. He'll have taken that after crashing out in qualifying. Aylin, bit like Droftas, ever the consistent driver. He's in what will be 6th position, I believe, at the moment. Now, in fact, Artiero has got out ahead of Westy. So that's what keeping those tyres on just a bit more has done. Artiero stays in 5th position, ahead of Westy at the moment. Aylin will be 7th, then Pedro 8th after his pit stop. Irish Nude Potato 9th for Fight for D 10th with Double O all over the back of him at this moment in time. Lawrence and YBR coming out last but one after their pit stop. Still 16 runners left, still 12 laps to go over what is now a very overcast and wet Hungaro ring circuit. But here is your race leader. He just keeps it clean. He'll be looking pretty good to take a victory on debut. It's become a bit of an F1 trademark at the moment. We just need to get faster and faster drivers joining the league. But Ferhan leading this race at the moment, 6.1 seconds ahead of Josh. And I will use this opportunity to just have a quick flick through the penalties for these lead guys. Ferhan has had 2 warnings. Josh, penalty early on, 2 warnings as well. And Denge, 2 warnings. Paulie Orange also with 2 warnings. And Artiero, you can see there, 3 penalties. A lot of warnings on his final couple of laps on those medium tyres. So Josh, the only one of these top 4 drivers who it looks like could easily change, but it looks like at the moment those will be the drivers who will take the victory today or challenge for the victory. But Josh with a penalty has got to find 9 seconds over Ferhan with 11 laps to go. That is going to be a big order indeed. Artiero and Westy battling for 5th and 6th position at this moment in the race. Artiero looks a changed man over the last few races. Really seems to have found that consistency as he drifts his way through turn 4, and that is what you need to score big points. We've seen Drofdas do it early on in the championship, taking the lead of the championship at one stage without really having shown race-winning pace, and I'm not being harsh to him there. He'll be the first person to admit that. He knows he's not the fastest, but he's extremely consistent, and just as I'm saying about Artiero doing well, he runs very wide, and luckily for him, Westy wasn't close enough to take advantage. I think we might see wet tyres towards the end of this race, because it seems to be coming down a lot heavier. That is the spray off the camera making that decision as well, but maybe, just maybe, we will see someone go for the wet tyres. Have to wait and see. Josh 6 seconds behind Ferhan at the moment. Don't think these leaders will go for the wets if they can help it, but maybe someone a bit further down that's outside the points, maybe a Borussia, Drofdas, Lovens, the wise heads that they are, might just put on the wet tyres in the final couple of laps if it looks as though it is going to be an extremely wet end to this race. 10 laps remaining. Westy all over the back of Artiero then. The Alfa Romeo having to go defensive down towards turn 1. No DRS to help the Williams, but he's just going to try and hold it off around the outside to give himself the inside for turn 2. He's got a wheel alongside the Alfa Romeo, who's just about holding on for now. It's going to be a very brave move from the Williams in these conditions if he's going to take that position. I think Artiero will just hold off for another lap, but he looks to be struggling a lot more than Westy at this moment. Alan in 7th, running on his own for now, but Pedro will be hoping to close him down. Did see Pedro struggling more at the start of the race, so I wonder if he'd gone a bit more with a wet setup, because he had a great pace in qualifying, but then he wouldn't have had great pace in qualifying, would he? Ignore what I've just said. But yeah, Pedro did seem to struggle in the first few stages of this race, but he's now got himself up into 8th position. He's had a couple of spins throughout qualifying and the race, but he's now behind Alan, and I think that rain is coming down ever so slightly harder. Going to be borderline wet conditions maybe at the end of this race, which will just spice things up a bit more for these lead guys. We've got a battle heading towards for the final points as well, with Fight for D, Double O, Borussia. Not too far for these guys. Double O being very brave, touching those curbs. They will be like an ice rink. They have special gritty paint that they use to try and give them some grit, but if any of you guys have ever touched any wet paint that's been rained on, you know just how slippy it can be in these conditions, especially with all the little marbles that have come off these Pirelli tyres after 26 and a half laps of action so far for the lead guys, as Double O tries to get in the slipstream of Fight for D. The Ferrari just placing his car in the middle of the straight, so he's ready to defend no matter which way the Mercedes comes, but he's not close enough this time around. Pedro has really closed up to Alan at the moment. The McLaren of Alan just looks to not have the same pace at the Renault at this stage of the race. It's really tough to pass around here, even tougher, you've got to say, in the wet. So if he can hold off for another 8.5 laps, we might see a good position for the McLaren, as it will take 7th place. Looking good for Paulie Orange in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, with his nearest rival Westy in 6th place. Borussia, who's currently 3rd in the championship, not scoring, so Paulie Orange will extend his lead slightly, but I think Renault would take the lead in the Constructors' Championship. As things stand, they would leapfrog both Red Bull and Haas as things stand at the moment, but still, we've got 8 laps remaining and a lot can change in that time. Artiero still holding off from Westy at the moment. He's looking to have the measure of the Williams ever so slightly now, as long as he can keep it clean for the remaining few laps. He has got 3 penalties, so that would be 9 seconds of penalties. I don't think Westy has that many. He's usually a driver who keeps it nice and clean, so that may drop Artiero further down the order, but we'll have to wait and see towards the end as Pedro dives down the inside at turn 1 for Alan. Nothing the McLaren can do about that. He hasn't really got the grip or the pace to fight that move at this stage of the race. That moves the Renault driver up into 7th position. Can he catch Westy and Artiero up in the next few laps now that he's got some free air? We'll have to wait and see, as Double O still close behind Fight for D, but now Borussia has joined this fight as well, so the Red Bull team might be able to salvage 1 point from this race from Borussia, the sole remaining Red Bull after we saw Dynastics retire early on. Both Racing Points also retiring, but the big news, Thomas crashed in qualifying at turn 1, qualified 10th, put on the hard tyres, was doing a great job on keeping them lasting, but a combination of a lack of grip from those tyres and a bit of water on the curb, and he spun off at turn 11, speared into the wall. That caused a VSC, which allowed some of the lead guys to pit for intermediate tyres, maybe a lap or two early, but it's worked out for them so far, with Furhan and Josh still 1-2, but Furhan with the biggest gap he's had all the race at the moment, 6.6 seconds. He is leading this race. He's 5.5 seconds ahead of Andenge, and Paulie Orange 2 seconds behind. If the Haas driver can find a bit of pace here, he might be able to get a podium. It would be his first podium since finishing second in France and Austria. He was 11th in Britain, but still got the fastest lap, which does get you a point, even if you finish outside of the top 10 here at Formula Online Racing. So he's had points in every race he's finished in, and he got a 6th in Germany, so a 4th in Hungary. Suggests he is heading back towards his best form, and that could be crucial in the championship, especially with how fast Furhan, Josh, Westy and Thomas have looked, because you've got to add Furhan to this. It's so close. There's still 9 races to go in the championship at the end of tonight. That is still a possible 234 points up for grabs, and a few bad races from some of these drivers could really stir things up in the championship. Furhan's probably going to be a bit too far back. Josh, Westy and possibly Thomas, not so much. Pedro has now managed to get away from Alan, but I don't think he's catching quick enough to Westy to do anything about him. There's Fight for D still holding on for Double O and Borussia. This lack of grip, you can see the drier line appearing. And that's what's causing the problems with the overtaking. As soon as you head off that drier line, you are on big patches of water and you've just not got the same grip, and you're not able to go for an overtake. So I think the mistakes are going to be mainly what causes the main change of positions throughout the field in these final few laps of this race. Leader on lap 30 at the moment, as Furhan is just heading around sector 2 at the moment. Double O not as close to Fight for D as he has been before, but Borussia looking really close at the moment. Can he still salvage a point from this race? Westy again all over the back of Artiero. We've got a lot of cars all over the back of other ones. They're just not able to make a move at this point in the race. One driver we've not spoke about really much in this race, but he's quietly got on with the job. Irish Nude Potato. Credit where credit's due. Making your debut in these conditions, not the easiest thing to do, but he's in 9th, kept it clean in qualifying, he's kept it clean so far in the race. He could help the Haas team gain a few points in their championship hunt tonight, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with his first run. Where we have got a battle though, and with some position changes, Hibilu and YBR might be for 15th and last place at the moment, but they're not caring. They really are fighting tooth and nail through turn 2 and 3, and YBR's done incredibly well to hold on around the outside there. He's got ahead of Hibilu, who's not quite given up yet, but unless you're alongside heading into turn 4, the overtake isn't really on, and YBR getting 15th place at the moment, just for pride, but he'll be delighted with the way that overtake worked out for him. We've seen one Williams fight brilliantly. Is another one going to be able to copy now? Westy behind Artiero. That Alfa Romeo just pulling away slightly on the straight, both using the low ERS. Not surprising in these wet conditions. You don't want as much power going through the rear wheels as you put the throttle down, because it would be very easy to spin around, as Andenge gets himself a penalty, and that would be good enough to put Paulie Orange on the podium if things stayed as they are. So Andenge needs to find a bit more of a gap to Paulie Orange, but if the Haas driver can just stay within 3 seconds of the Alfa Romeo, that would put him on the podium, and he would be delighted with that, as that would extend his championship lead even more. See Artiero, that chicane hopped, earns himself another time penalty. Fastest lap of the race, the point will go to Lawrence. There's no danger of that being beaten at this moment, so as long as he crosses the line, the Ferrari will get 1 point, and it looks like the other Ferrari also going to get 1 point if he stays in 10th place. He's keeping that gap to Double O constant at around about 7-8 tenths of a second. I think Double O's attention has quickly changed to defending from Borussia at this moment in time. The Ferrari, the Mercedes and the Red Bull still line astern. As we see now, Borussia's got a better exit there out of turn 11 than Double O. He's just going to show himself down the inside, but Double O covered it off at the last minute. Bit of a half-hearted move from Borussia, and he pulled out, but he looks to be just a bit faster than Double O at this point in the race, and especially in that middle sector. Unfortunately for him, it's not really a place where you can overtake. Westy not able to overtake Altiero as well at the moment, and Paulie Orange dropping back slightly from Andenja on board with his teammate. Once again, Irish Stewed Potato, lap 32 out of 35 in this race. On his debut, he is in 9th. Dynastics retired on his debut. Pedro in 7th on his debut, but it looks, as long as he can keep it clean for the remaining 3 laps and 1 corner, that Fairhand racer will take the victory here tonight. Started on 2nd place, got a fantastic start to hold the lead, defended from Josh brilliantly around those first couple of corners. Fast starting Renault from 3rd, and he's extended that gap in these wet conditions. It is now 9 seconds. He's 3 laps away from taking his first victory. It looks like car number 13 is going to be lucky for him tonight. Russia did actually manage to get past Double O. There has been a change there for 11th and 12th, and that has given Fight for Day a bit of breathing space for the final points position. It remains to be seen whether Borussia can close up to the back of him and maybe do something about it, as West is the closest he's been to Altiero for a while, and the Alfa Romeo's really having to go defensive down into turn 1. Westy trying it all the way around the outside at turn 1. He's very late on the brakes. I'll be surprised if he can get that stopped. He has managed to do so. He's now going to have the inside for turn 2. This has been a great drive from the Williams driver from the back of the grid. And Altiero is still holding on, but I'm not sure he's going to have the grip in these conditions. And Westy takes P5. Fantastic move from him. And he'll be delighted with that after starting at the back of the grid. He takes 5th position. I think he would have got it anyway on penalties, as Altiero has at least 4 now. And he may find himself dropping back behind Pedro, Aylan and Irish Stewed Potato if they've got it clean. But he should still score points for the 2nd consecutive race, as he's really gone deep into the chicane there, nearly clipping the back of Westy. That would have been disastrous for the pair of them, but thankfully no damage done, and they can live to fight another day. Borussia has dropped Double O. He is slightly catching up to Fight for Day. Penultimate lap of this race. These guys are still on lap 33, of course. It's just Fairhan and Josh who have just pulled away slightly from Andenge lap after lap after lap. Paulie Orange just dropping back slightly from Andenge now. Needs to keep it within 3 seconds. I'll just have a quick check again of the penalty situation for the lead drivers, as we see Fairhan's kept it clean. Josh, I know, has 1 penalty. That is all he's got for now. Andenge does have 3 seconds, as Paulie Orange really struggling with the car there. You can see it. He's kept it clean as well as Paulie Orange. So if he can keep me in 3 seconds, he's got a podium here. But that gap is now 2.8 seconds, and Andenge is just stretching it out slightly. I'm sure he's talking to Jeff and finding out the penalty situation, but he can get a podium here. Altiero really looking racy, and he's going to have to get a move on. He's off. Oh, he's just about saved it. Thought that was going to be a certain retirement. Well held from him. But any chance he had of taking 5th on circuit has gone, as he's really struggling all of a sudden now that he's got those tyres dirty and even more wet than they already were. Maybe Pedro can take 6th out on track. We'll have to wait and see. That's really giving him a chance of closing up in the Renault. Let's not forget, he was on pole position, just dropped back in the opening stages, got passed by Fairhan and Josh straight away off the start, and then some of the others started getting past him as well. We see Paulie Orange attacking him early on. Pedro gets himself a time penalty, but I still think he'll be doing a good enough position to get into 6th place. We are on the final lap of this race now. Here is the race leader. He's pulled the gap out to 10 seconds ahead of Josh, and it looks as though he's going to take his first victory of the season. Toro Rosso, let's not forget, bottom in the Constructors' Championship. That might not be the case after tonight. I think they're actually going to be tied on points with Alfa Romeo, who are currently getting 3rd and 6th. That Constructors' Championship, 81 points separating all 10 teams. We feel the Drivers' Championship was close. It's going to be anyone's guess who is going to be the best team this season, as Borussia is really close to the back of Fight for D now for the final points paying position. Borussia on the final lap, going to the outside of the Ferrari, gets the move done before turn 1. Fight for D's trying to hold on, but he's not able to, and that moves Borussia up into 10th position for now. He had to fight hard on the final lap. Ferhan had to fight hard in the first few laps, but it paid off, and he's just pulled away once the rain started. Stopping for the mediums helped him pull a bit of a gap early on, and he takes victory here at round 12 at FOR. Ferhan wins on his debut. Josh, another podium for him, but second place, not the position he'll have wanted, but he will be delighted with that, I am sure. And it's going to be Andenge in the Alfa Romeo to come across the line and take third place. Him and Paulie Orange did a great job keeping those medium tyres in a good condition in the early stages, and they have been rewarded with third and fourth position, I should say, as Westy, he's going to come around now the final corner. Started in last place, he'll be happy with fifth. First time he's not been on the podium all season, but what could have been if he'd have started higher up the grid. Pedro getting sixth on penalties from Arturo, who could find himself dropping even further down the order as Alan takes that place off him. Irish Dude Potato on his debut takes 8th position. Arturo won't drop any further than 9th. Borussia, he comes across the line in the Red Bull. He takes 10th position. Double O moving ahead of Fight for D on penalties. Droftas in 13th. Was a bit of a struggle for the Mercedes driver today. Lawrence with fastest lap will finish in 14th position. And YBR will be 15th. Hibila was already finished a lap down. YBR just drifting his way through the final corner. Williams is the final finisher, but it was Ferhan who took the victory today on his debut. The Toro Rossos bookending the field in first and last places. But it'll be a delight for Ferhan. Took second place in qualifying. Josh in second. Made a mistake on his second run in qualifying. That put him behind Ferhan and his teammate. He got ahead of one of the starts, but getting ahead of the Toro Rosso was just too much. And Andenge, fantastic job keeping those mediums good for over 20 laps to get third place for him. So the results from this Hungarian Grand Prix: Ferhan with the victory, Josh second, Andenge in third, Paulie Orange fourth, Westy moving up 15 places, only managing one stop to finish in fifth. Pedro started on pole, had a bad start, spun, still recovers to take sixth. Alan, quiet race from him, but consistent as always in seventh. Irish Nude Potato, he'll be happy with his debut in eighth. Arturo, penalties cost him the Spaniard once again. He could have finished in sixth, instead it's ninth for him. Borussia stealing the final point on the final lap from Double O and Fight for D. Droftas 13th, Lawrence getting the fastest lap in 14th, YBR 15th, Hibilu the final finisher, and we saw Thomas, Dynastics and both racing points of Yossi Heinze and Jonathan Cox all retire early on. Not the race them drivers would have expected, but delight for Ferhan on his debut as he takes the victory here tonight. What that has done for the championship situation, I'll just get my abacus out and have a quick look at what it means. Paulie Orange is now on 119 points. Westy has dropped a bit further back, although he's still looking pretty good on 108. Josh moving up to 92, and he's actually moved up into third place in this championship, as Borussia and Droftas only scoring 1 point between them, so they have dropped back ever so slightly. But a great race from Ferhan as he took his victory here today. And I think really what the move that did it for him was when he come out on the mediums for that first pit stop. He knew it was going to rain towards the end of the race, and that really helped him out today. So hopefully we might be able to get an interview with some of the drivers soon. See what they thought about their wins today. It was a great result from all the top three drivers. And some of the others as well. Obviously we saw Paulie Orange, he did a similar thing to Andenge. Maybe if he'd have just managed to stay within that 3 seconds, he could have got the podium today, but he'll still be happy with 4th and extending his championship lead now to 11 points over Westy. Westy as well, 15 positions he gained, but not really the race he'd have expected. Perhaps after starting in 20th, took advantage of the weather conditions by starting on the hard tyres. He'll be happy with that. But what could have been for Thomas if he hadn't been made his mistake? He was up there in 4th place, and who knows what could have happened for him. But ifs and buts. We spoke about this before, and unfortunately for him, he retired at the end, and that has really cost him big style here tonight. 2 wins in a row we got earlier on, but that has all changed for him now. Just waiting for some of the drivers to join, and we'll be able to get into the interviews. So I'll just invite the drivers in. It's Ferhan who took the victory. Josh in 2nd position, and Andenge who took the 3rd position. Ferhan with a great job, taking a win on debut, and that does definitely seem to be a record that has been keeping on throughout the season. We've seen many great drivers take victories throughout this season on their debut. Paulie Orange, Westy has done it. We've seen Josh nearly do it. Thomas getting 2 in a row, and now Ferhan taking his first victory of the season. We'll just wait for the rest of the drivers to join this session. Ferhan has joined, so hopefully we'll be able to get the others in now. Just waiting for them to connect to this session. It was a great qualifying and race from all these drivers in very tough weather conditions, understandably. Well, we'll start with we'll start with Ferhan, who took the victory. Hopefully, you are able to hear me all right now.
Yeah.
Ferhan, great start from yourself to take the lead from Pedro, but Josh definitely didn't make it easy for you in those first couple of laps.
Yeah, I had a disadvantage on the straight. 8-11 wings, I think. But I was much faster in the corners, and that was good for me.
Do you think the medium tyres made the difference for you coming out on them in the second stint? I know Josh said he didn't really think about heading onto those medium tyres, and that allowed you to pull out a bit of a gap, but the VSCs definitely seemed to help you too. It was perfect timing with the first one because of the racing point going off, and then the second one with Thomas crashing out.
Yeah, 2 times with the fast racer said to me, go to the pits, and I said, no, are you crazy? He said, yeah, go to the pits, it's good. And I said, okay, I go to the pits, and it was perfect strategy. 2 times in the virtual safety car.
Yeah, it definitely worked out pretty good. I must say, I thought it wasn't quite ready for intermediates, but you managed to do pretty well because Artiero was fighting through the field, and it's a debut victory. You must obviously be delighted with your performance tonight, and you seem to have incredible pace on those intermediate tyres as well.
Yeah, rain is... I'm so good in rain. I don't know why, but I love rain. It was a very good race, especially in my debut race, and was good.
Great race from yourself and a great victory. We'll come now to Josh, who finished in 2nd place. It's another great podium for you, Josh, but Ferhan made it very difficult for you in those first couple of laps. Do you think if you'd got past him early on, the result could have been different?
Yeah, but I didn't want to get past him. I wanted to stay behind him. I weren't using no ERS or anything like that. I was just waiting behind him for a bit to the first pit stops, but obviously he's come out on the mediums. I'm stupid, I should have come out on the mediums myself, but come out on the hards, and he got past the traffic quicker than me. I got stuck, Then my DRS broke, so there was no getting past them at that point. But yeah, I battled quali though. I lost. I could have been 6-7 tenths faster in quali, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was watching the start of your second quali lap when you just invalidated as you were going faster, but still.
On my first lap, I invalidated. Not invalidated. I made a mistake in the last sector. I lost like 5 tenths to everyone else. So I should have got pole, and that would have been sorted for me, but I didn't.
Yeah, still a really consistent performance. Your 5th podium, I believe, in a row since you've joined FOR. What was the reasoning for going out on the hard tyres? Did you just expect the rain maybe to come a bit later on than it did, or did you just not cross your mind to go onto the mediums?
Just didn't cross my mind. Oh, it should have. I should have gone on the mediums, but as soon as I seen you on the mediums, I knew I should have gone on the mediums myself. I completely forgot about the rain, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's still.
And then when I seen you on the mediums, I knew it was the rain in it. So.
Yeah, still second place. Great performance from yourself, and it's moved you closer to Paulie Orange at the head of the championship. Coming now to Anne Denge, who finished in 3rd position. I imagine things were getting pretty dicey on those 20-lap-old medium tyres as the rain was coming down.
Yes, sir. You are completely correct. I am so ecstatic just by getting a surprise podium. Oh, it was such a great race. I'm so happy.
Yeah, you did very well.
Especially, yeah. For me, it was like everybody else was doing like 14, 15, 16 laps on the mediums, and I was like checking out on the weather and all of that stuff, and I was like, oh, there's rain 10 to 15 minutes, and I was thinking about going in right then and there, but then I was like, nah, I'm gonna have to try to stay on this, and it was super close. I believe my mediums were like 75-80% at that point.
Yeah, I can imagine it was pretty dicey. To be honest, I was the same as Josh. I did wonder why a few of you guys were harding in on for so long on those medium tyres, and then I remembered the rain was coming. Did you feel pretty confident on the intermediates as well after that happened?
Yeah, of course. I really do. I think I have good pace in the rain.
Yeah, and you got a penalty towards the end. Were you aware that Paulie Orange didn't have a penalty? Because I did notice you started pulling away to him more for the final few laps. Was that a conscious thing just to try and secure your podium?
Yeah, definitely. Like for me personally, it was I choked a little bit, got a penalty, and then I kept checking on Paulie Orange's penalty situation every single lap. But then I realized with 3 laps to go that I'm a little bit quicker than him every single lap. So then I just kept pushing as hard as I possibly could. And luckily for me, he did a little bit of mistake, it seems like, at the end. So I got my podium anyway.
Yeah, very good podium from yourself, and your second podium of the season after getting one in Monaco as well. That must give you a lot of confidence for the rest of the season.
Yes, sir. I am so happy.
Yeah, and so you should be, and so should all 3 of you. Great job from all of you, and thank you so much for joining me for the interviews. That is it for this stream. FOR will be back on Tuesday with F2 action from the Belgium Grand Prix. There'll be another PC exhibition race on the Friday with George and Mako, and myself and George will be back on the Saturday with round 13 of this FOR Championship coming from the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. It will be the Belgian Grand Prix. We've seen Furhan Racer take victory on debut, with Josh looking fast again, and Denge getting his first podium for a while, but it's Paulie Orange who's extended his championship lead ever so slightly to 11 points. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next time around. Good night.